For decades, Botswana's story has been written in diamonds. The glittering stones built schools, hospitals, and roads. They turned one of Africa's poorest nations at independence into a stable, middle-income country. They accounted for 80% of export revenue and a quarter of the entire economy. But diamonds are no longer what they once were. Lab-grown stones, identical to the real thing, but 30 to 70% cheaper, have flooded the global market. Prices have tumbled. The foundation of Botswana's prosperity has begun to crack. And then, in late February 2026, something happened that could rewrite the country's future entirely. 15 rare earth minerals, every single one on the United States Geological Survey's 2025 critical minerals list, have been discovered in northwest Botswana. Not deep in the earth where extraction would cost a fortune, but between 20 and 50 meters below the surface, shallow enough to mine, close enough to matter. This is the story of how a Canadian exploration company drilling in the Kalahari Desert may have just handed Botswana the keys to the 21st century economy. The discovery came from Tsodilo Resources Limited, a Canada-based exploration company operating in Botswana under its subsidiary Gcwihaba Resources. The sites, designated C26 and C27, lie within the Gcwihaba Metals project in the country's northwest, near Shakawe. For years, the Ngamiland region presented a unique challenge to geologists. Thick layers of Kalahari sand conceal the geological surface, making traditional exploration nearly impossible. Tsodilo undertook a massive 24,000 line-kilometer geophysical magnetic survey, one of the most detailed of its kind, to see what lay beneath. What they found exceeded expectations. The deposits contain all 15 rare earth elements on the USGS critical minerals list, along with copper, cobalt, nickel, vanadium, and silver. The rare earth exploration target stretches 4 kilometers in length, with a conceptual target of 81 million to 97 million tons at grades between 0.05 and 1.49% total rare earth oxide. The highest grade recorded so far is 1.49% at the C27 skarn, a level comparable to major producing mines elsewhere in the world. Crucially, the neodymium-praseodymium content represents approximately 15% of total rare earth oxides, similar to the 15.7% at MP Materials Mountain Pass mine in the United States. NdPr is the most valuable component, essential for the high-performance permanent magnets used in electric vehicles, wind turbines, and defense systems. To date, Tsodilo has completed 12 exploration drill holes totaling 3,303 meters, with 76% of samples returning detectable rare earth mineralization. Rare earth elements are not actually rare in the Earth's crust. They are, however, rarely found in concentrations high enough to mine economically, and they are absolutely essential to modern technology. Electric vehicle batteries and motors, wind turbine generators, smartphones, fiber optic cables, defense guidance systems, radar. Every piece of technology that defines the 21st century relies on these minerals. The International Energy Agency projects global rare earth demand could rise to 150,000 tons by 2040, up from 91,000 tons in 2024. Yet the supply chain is dangerously concentrated. China dominates global rare earth production, accounting for 70% of mine supply and nearly 90% of processing capacity. This means even when other countries mine the minerals, they often send them to China for refining. Beijing's control over this strategic sector has long been a source of anxiety for Western governments, which view dependence on Chinese processing as a critical vulnerability. Against this backdrop, every new discovery outside China becomes a matter of global strategic interest. Botswana's find is no exception. Tsodilo Resources holds a 100% stake in the Gcwihaba Metals project. Its chairman and CEO, James Brooks, also serves as managing director of the Botswana subsidiary. In October 2025, Brooks expressed optimism that Botswana could see its first rare earth mine, noting that the company was working with United States entities to produce a compliant resource statement and preliminary economic assessment in 2026. That work is now underway. Tsodilo plans a 15,000-meter drilling program this year, involving approximately 50 drill holes, aiming to produce a compliant National Instrument 43-101 resource statement, the standard required for public disclosure in Canada and internationally. If successful, the project would move from exploration to development, with all the economic benefits that entails. The diamond trap. Botswana's dependence on diamonds is extreme by any measure. The stones account for approximately 80% of export revenue, 25% of gross domestic product, and nearly one-third of public revenues. For decades, this worked. Botswana, the joint venture between the government and De Beers, delivered consistent returns. The economy grew. The country avoided the resource curse that plagued so many other African nations. But the global diamond market has shifted. Lab-grown diamonds now offer consumers identical products at vastly lower prices. Demand for natural stones has weakened. Prices have fallen. The model that built modern Botswana is under threat. President Boko's diversification drive. President Duma Boko's government has made diversification an urgent priority. In October 2025, speaking at the Botswana Mining Show, Minister for State President Moeti Mawasa outlined a vision of building a self-reliant and diversified mining economy, spanning from extraction to value-added transformation. Minister of Transport and Infrastructure. Noah Salakai went further, emphasizing that Botswana's mineral wealth extends far beyond diamonds. He pointed to untapped resources including coal, copper, nickel, gold, silver, manganese, uranium, iron ore, and rare earth elements, describing them as keys to industrial transformation. The government has backed this vision with concrete investment plans. In October 2025, it announced a 5-year investment plan worth 388 billion plus, approximately $28.5 billion, under the 12th National Development Plan, promoting investments in transport infrastructure, water supply, and housing. The rare earth opportunity. A commercially viable rare earth development would offer Botswana precisely what it needs: export diversification, integration into growing global supply chains, and reduced dependence on a single commodity. James Brooks has emphasized the transformative potential, describing the projects as both job creators and revenue generators that will benefit Botswana and the government alike. Unlike diamonds, which face structural decline, rare earth demand is projected to grow for decades. The energy transition, the electric vehicle revolution, and the expansion of renewable energy all depend on these minerals. Botswana has an opportunity to position itself within these supply chains at exactly the right moment. The China factor. China's near monopoly on rare earth processing means any new discovery is inevitably viewed through a geopolitical lens. Western nations, led by the United States and European Union, have introduced policies aimed at diversifying critical mineral supply chains and reducing dependence on Beijing. Tsodilo explicitly notes parallels with the Mountain Pass mine in the United States, which drew Department of Defense interest for its strategic NDPR resources, the same minerals present in Botswana. This raises a critical question for Botswana. Will its rare earths be processed by China, perpetuating the existing monopoly, or will they flow into alternative supply chains being built by Western nations seeking to diversify? The Russia option. In January 2026, Botswana announced plans to open an embassy in Moscow to deepen diplomatic and economic relations. Foreign Affairs Minister Fenyo Butale explicitly invited Russian investors and companies specializing in rare earths, seeking to benefit from Russia's industrial capabilities in large-scale mining projects and processing industries. This diplomatic outreach suggests Botswana is exploring multiple options for developing its rare earth sector. Russia possesses significant expertise in mining and processing, and the invitation signals that Botswana intends to court interest from all major players, not just Western nations. Botswana's advantage. Botswana brings significant advantages to any partnership. It is widely regarded as one of Africa's most mining-friendly jurisdictions, offering established infrastructure, a clear regulatory framework, and a strong record of partnership between government and private sector. It also brings political stability and democratic governance. attributes increasingly valued by international investors seeking to de-risk their supply chains. Technical hurdles. The Ngamaland region's thick sand cover made exploration difficult. Development will present its own technical challenges. The project is remote, requiring infrastructure investment. Water availability, power supply, and transport logistics will all need to be addressed. Environmental considerations. Any mining development will require rigorous environmental impact assessments and regulatory approvals. Botswana has a strong environmental record, but rare earth mining presents particular challenges, including managing radioactive byproducts and processing chemicals. These must be addressed transparently. Processing capacity. The greatest challenge may lie downstream. Mining rare earths is only the first step. Processing them into usable materials is complex, capital-intensive, and dominated by China. If Botswana cannot develop or attract processing capacity, it risks remaining a raw material exporter, repeating the extractive pattern that has limited African development for centuries. Community engagement. The Gcwihaba project is located in an area with local communities that must be consulted and whose rights must be respected. Tsodilo's success will depend not only on geology and finance, but on building genuine partnerships with Botswana, who live near the proposed developments. Botswana's discovery does not exist in isolation. Across the continent, a race is underway. Namibia has attracted significant investment in rare earth and lithium exploration. Tanzania is drawing interest for its graphite and rare earth potential. The Democratic Republic of Congo already dominates global cobalt production. Zambia is positioning itself as a critical minerals hub. Africa holds some of the world's largest reserves of the minerals the energy transition demands. The question is whether African nations will capture the value or whether they will remain suppliers of raw materials while others build the industries. Botswana has an opportunity to do something different. It has a government committed to diversification, a reputation for good governance, and now, potentially, the mineral endowment to attract serious investment. Whether that translates into processing capacity, local beneficiation, and genuine economic transformation depends on the choices made now. President Boko's government has signaled the right intentions. Minister Salakai's call to position Botswana as a regional hub for responsible, diversified mining and local beneficiation reflects an understanding that raw material exports are not enough. The test will come when commercial interests press for expediency over partnership, when environmental concerns arise, and when decisions about processing, whether in China, the West, Russia, or Botswana itself, must be made. For a generation, diamonds defined Botswana. They built the schools, paved the roads, and funded the hospitals. They gave the country a stability and prosperity that much of Africa envied. But diamonds cannot build the future. Their market is shrinking. Their prices are falling. Their era is passing. Rare earths offer something different: a growing market, strategic importance, integration into the technologies that will define the coming decades. The discovery at Gcwihaba is not yet a mine. It is not yet revenue. It is not yet jobs. It is a promise, a possibility, a door opening. What happens next depends on geology, on markets, on investment, and on policy. But most of all, it depends on whether Botswana can learn the lessons of its diamond past while reaching for a different kind of future. One where the minerals beneath the Kalahari build not just revenue, but resilience. Not just exports, but industry. Not just wealth for a few, but transformation for many. The diamonds built Botswana. The rare earths could redefine it. The drilling has begun. The world is watching. And for the first time in years, Botswana has reason to look beyond diamonds and see something shining on the horizon.